use your preacher voice.
Okay, good afternoon, everyone. We're running a little bit after 3:30, but that's okay. We're gonna see if we can work through this work session fairly quickly. Let's see, we're all here except Councilman Collins, who is on the way. Okay. First item on the work session agenda is the landscaper position. And Ms. Jeannie Sewell with the Garden Club wanted to come through and address the council. And following her presentation, I'd like to offer up some suggestions on what we can do.
Okay. I've thought a lot about it since the last time, so yes. Thoughts that direction.
Make your cameo.
I like Steven's background.
Be pleasant and present.
Hello.
Hello.
Hello, Ms. Sewell, welcome. We're glad to have you.
Nice to be here.
Yes, ma'am. And I know that you had some discussion that you wanted to talk about with the landscaper position and on behalf of the Garden Club. So
Right.
we'll yield the floor to you at this time.
All right, thank you. Bev asked me to come. She had a prior commitment, but the Garden Club is really excited about the fact that y'all may be hiring somebody full-time to oversee the beautification of downtown Monroeville. We're very excited about that. We think that's real positive news. We just wanted to let you know that we are supportive of that we really think having a professional, someone who really knows what they're doing, who can organize it. There are a few things that we thought, just from our own learning curve, that you might want to consider when you're doing your job description. And I just made a note of a few of them. Just maybe having an organizational plan for the seasonal flowers and decorations. One of the big things that we've come across is there needs to be some kind of regular watering schedule. We have self-watering pots, but when it's real windy like it's been, Bev says she went today up to the square and the pots were dry. So, you know, if you're investing a pretty good bit of money in plants, then you want to make sure that they stay healthy as long as possible. So making sure that there's some plan for that, some schedule. Blowing off the sidewalks, I think she talked to, I'm not sure who she talked to, one of y'all. And I think she sent some pictures, but you all know this as well as I do. Having a regular schedule to blow off the leaves and then around the curves and stuff like that. The planters that are in front of all the stores, you know, where the crepe myrtles are, that wood that was originally put in there, most of it's rotted. So it needs to be removed. And there's not much dirt in there. You know, if it was possible to put a layer, either one or two of brick around that, so that you would have enough dirt to keep something growing. We have a real hard time getting anything to stay in there because if you put them in there, the dirt just washes out as soon as the rain comes. So that would be helpful. And then just doing roundup around the edges of the road where the cracks in the concrete grow weeds without any help from anybody, just on their own. So most of what we have problems with are things like having watering done on a regular schedule, because plants, especially in the summer when it gets as hot as it was last summer, they have to be watered a lot. And even though we have self-watering pots, they still have to be filled. So having somebody who can be responsible for that and kind of have a schedule to make sure that some of those things are done, those are the things that we have found in working with the garden that, you know, have been the most troublesome, that we've had much trouble working with. So making sure that somebody who's maybe interested in doing that realizes that there's a lot involved.
Yes, ma'am. If you don't mind, educate me a little bit about, you know, because I've just come in
Okay.
and not real familiar with any arrangements or whatever that the city had with the garden club, was there ever any arrangement between duties that the city was performing and the garden club was performing?
Well, I'm probably not the best person to ask that. I'm a fairly new member, but the city does provide us funds for the plants. So what we have primarily done, I've been responsible for, are those pots that are around the square in City Hall, and I think now we have a couple over there on the side where Johnson's is. There's a couple of new ones over there. So mainly we're trying to keep those maintained, and then the rose garden that's right there in front of the courthouse. The other part of the courtyards, of course, is county property, but that one we have always taken care of or tried to. But it's a pretty big task because we don't have that many members.
Yes,
We only have a limited amount of time, but just taking care of that rose garden is a job because the weeds grow whether it rains or not, but that's that kind of thing. So I know in terms of the relationship, y'all have always been great. When we ordered the flowers, whatever, Bev and some of the folks who were on the board would, submit the cost, and the city paid for those. So other than that, I'm not sure what else you might be asking me.
Well, I was just wondering if there was, and have to forgive me, I guess, because of my background, but usually whenever a public entity enters into an agreement or arrangement, with a private entity such as the garden club or any other such entity, there's usually some type of memorandum of agreement or understanding that kind of outlines what we'll do and what you guys do.
Right.
Now, I guess I'm asking, is there anything like that in existence at this time?
If there is, Ms. Coughlin would probably want to be able to say that. I'm not aware of that.
Okay.
I know that there's arrangements, but in terms of a formal agreement or memorandum of understanding about who's responsible for what, it's been more,
Gentleman's agreement?
yeah.
I think it's just grown with time. I think some of it should be.
Yeah. Would you ask Ms. Colquitt if she has anything of that nature? She can either email it to me or send it to me.
Sure.
Because, like you say, because of the amount of time and labor and the tasks that we're talking about, I think it's probably a good time for us to define the roles of these parts.
Sure. I'd be glad to.
Any council member have any questions for Ms. Ford?
We appreciate what y'all
All
do.
right. All right. Well, thank you so much. We're excited about y'all.
You need a copy of this back or we can.
I'm good. I'm good. I'll get that to you.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right, thank you.
She may not know.
I had a suggestion that I would like for the council to entertain during the work session, because what we're talking about now is hiring a person to perform these duties. We don't currently have a job description for a landscaper from the old classification system. There is a job classification in the new state plan system. Until we can come to some type of agreement as to whether or not we're going to adopt the new sand place system or not, my suggestion is Southern Farms gave us a dollar amount per month that they would be able to come through and address these issues. And my recommendation would be is that we do like a temporary 4-month contract with Southern Farms to come in and go ahead and address all of these issues. Because see, this is the time of year now that we have to start preparing those flower beds and grass, planting shrubs and all this type of thing. So my suggestion to the council would be that we did like a 4-month contract with Southern Farms. It's $2,100 per month. I've gone back, checked with the city clerk. We have roughly of the remaining salary of Robert, who is retired, we got roughly, I think it was a little over $25,000.
Yes, sir.
So we would have enough funding to go back and pay that contract, that temporary contract for 4 months to give us an opportunity to hire somebody, bring them on board and get them started in the process of getting all of the certifications that they need to mix and apply these different chemicals.
Good idea. That's, we're not ready to jump into that, and it's time to do something. Only thing I have additional to that is I think 4 months is too short. We're talking about growing season of January, February, March, April, or say start February, March, April, May. The first seasonal batch of stuff is really through the middle of summer. So again, funding is available. Give us more time, maybe 6 months.
Maybe 6 months.
Do it for September 30th.
And well, in fact, we even look at going through the end of the year or fiscal year. But I do think 4 months is a short period of time because their big expense is going to be on the front end setting things up, and then we could cut them off kind of thing. But yeah, the idea of that, money is not an issue in the sense of this because we've got the funding to handle it one way or the other. And if they're willing, and then we can see what they can do and they can realize what they can do. Actually, we can see what they can do and they can come back to it. Show, well, we can't do it for that next time, or yes, we can handle it for that.
But like I said, the main objective is to eventually hire a city employee to do this. But this just kind of gets us over the hump until we can get to that point. Okay. So as we move forward with this is one of the things under my time with the city council I intend to present for the council to consider. Okay. All right. My next item on the agenda for the work session is the community house, terrace room, courtyard brickwork. Now, where we stand with this is, and Mike, feel free to jump in and correct me if I'm mistaken. But where we stand with this is that there was an issue down there with some of the brickwork that McPherson Construction said that he could correct for about $4,700. However, we were dinged by Amit because there's a major issue down there with how that brickwork is not level and it is sank. We had basically two quotes. One was from Hammer and one was from Evergreen Concrete. Right. Along with Charles McPherson working on that. Each one of these is probably run somewhere in the neighborhood of about $50,000, which would have to be bid. Now, I don't like to come from the council without a proposal of how we can go back and pay for this because it's not budgeted. However, we have set aside $350,000 in the capital improvement fund that would have been used if we had gotten the Rebuild Alabama money, which we anticipated was going to be $250,000. We can actually do a budget amendment and move $50,000 from that capital improvement fund to pay for this project and still have $300,000 remaining for street paving.
We're going to spend that $300,000 on street paving even if we don't get the other money right.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
And see, this will eliminate one of the problems that we've been dealing with. If we do it this way, it keeps us within our budget, and everything evens out.
I think we need to get over that hump down there and get that over with.
So it is my intention to present before the council a proposal to submit for bid the repair of the courtyard at the community house by Terrace Room.
Can we bid it where we can have both options? We're talking about doing two different things.
Somebody doing brick pavers or pouring the concrete, doing the stamp work. Yeah, they could now Hammer actually gave a quote on the brick paver, and it was a little over $10,000 more. There's a lot more work involved.
Yeah.
And the problem is, if we go back with the brick pavers, it may be, 10 or 15 years, but you're gonna run into the same problem as we have it now with them. Cause let's see, it's been probably 5 years now. Bob had, someone to go over and fix a few of them. And, there's other places that's the same. So,
I just wondered how you bid it, if we gonna give an option or if we're not gonna give an option.
I think you could put an option in there. It'd be like 2 different bids.
Don't you think the concrete version is probably more
Yeah.
long lasting?
Yes, I think it'll last a lot longer and also be more stable, because you'll have a slab,
Yeah.
Mayor, I'll go along with that. I would like us, when it comes time to do street paving now, to see if we can find that extra 50 to keep it in there at that time.
Okay. Yeah, we could always go back and, depending on our revenue sources or whatever, we can always go back and revise the capital improvement budget to put that money in. Okay. All right. The next item is an ordinance amendment, and it deals with privileges of the floor. And we sent this out for everyone to go through and review over and for comments. And I think Councilman Thomas had emailed some comments back. I don't know if he's in with us yet.
No, sir, he's not.
No, he's not. Can I move on to the next item until we give him an opportunity to join? if
Yes,
y'all
sir.
don't mind?
Yep.
Okay. Okay, my next item that comes up is, I guess there was some miscommunication between myself and Mr. Pete Black, because he had called about the community house, the Land Digger Food Bank returning to the community house. And I had made arrangements for them to return in March. However, they had sent out notices that they would be returning in February. So one of the things that I would probably present to the council is for the Land Digger Food Bank to return to the community house beginning on the first Tuesday in February is when they normally do it. And they agreed to come back and present to the council also, whereas in the past agreement, they pay half the rent to utilize it. All right. Now, I don't know, is Mr. Ingram available?
I don't know this.
I had talked to him a while ago, he said he'd be here, so I don't know if it'd be timing wise.
Amanda, do you want to go check in there?
Yeah, I can see.
All right, what happened?
No, Miss Thelma has 2 logins.
I lost y'all some kind of way.
We can hear you now.
I just can't see y'all guys, but I can hear you.
Okay.
There you go.
Hey. That's Brian, that smiling face there.
It went off again, but I can hear you. Could you do whatever you just did again? See y'all guys, I can hear you.
We can see you.
Okay, that's fine. I can hear you.
See you and hear you.
Yeah, I just can't see y'all guys, but I can hear you.
Yeah, we ain't as good looking as you are, so anyway, you cover it.
I guess he
No one was out there.
wasn't out there. Okay. I don't think he signed in on Zoom yet either, has he?
No, sir, that's the police chief down in the bottom.
Okay.
Miss Thelma, which one are you using? We've got you on an iPad and on an iPhone. Miss Thelma? Uh-oh.
She has it muted.
I'm on both.
Oh, okay.
Oh, we are.
I'm
You want us to keep you on both?
Turn that camera down so we can see you better.
We can only see your forehead.
I think. Oh. I just have to use them both.
Oh, boy, we got it. Go here.
There you go.
I guess you can see me now.
Yeah.
Okay, I asked Mr. England to come by to talk about our financing options following the sale of the property. The city has received, there is $1 million that's sitting in escrow right now that we have received. Now, we have got to go through and do some work on the Sterling property out there. It's anticipated that that work could cost as much as $200,000. A suggestion from Mr. England basically says that if the city applies $800,000 against the loan that we currently have, that will leave us $200,000 that we could do the work on the Sterling building without having to make another loan. And going through and having some discussion with him, and if he comes in, I'll let him come in and get into all the details. But these are my thoughts. Come March of this year, the city will have paid off the loan on the police station. We don't have the remainder of that money budgeted for the rest of this fiscal year. In 2022, if we came back and we budgeted that money that we normally would have paid for the police station and apply it toward the principal on the loan that we have with Trustmark, because there's no provision to keep you from paying more than the minimum. If we did that for 2 years, we would be back down at the $300,000 mark when the bubble comes due. There's also been some discussion with Mr. Hickson about adjusting the rent on the building to help pay for these modifications. So that's even more money that we could apply toward reducing that debt. The thing about it is that it does not cause the city to have to go out and borrow more money, and we can address the issues that are at hand. So, you know, that's to get us back down to the point where we would have been in 2024, and the modifications of the Sterling building would have been addressed. So, but Mr. England has all of the particulars. If he comes in, you know, we will ask him to come back and present the amortization table in front of council. Okay. All right. Now, the next item for us to consider is an alcohol ordinance amendment to include breweries and distilleries. Now, this does not change what our current law is, it adds to it. We have a business that went to locate here in Monroeville to do a micro distillery. This, we currently, in the current ordinance, we do not have any language that defines a micro distillery or brewery. When you look at where things are heading in the future, there are things that are not defined in the ordinance, such as a tavern, what a tavern is. There's no definition for a brew pub or anything of that nature. So what this ordinance does, it comes back and it adds those items to the current ordinance. That way we can set what the licensing fees are for the city and what the zoning regulations are. And when you look at this, the items that are printed in green are the recommendations of our city attorney. The items that we show are in red, those where we had gone through and pulled sample language
I'll send them the new, Amanda's making copies for the ones here, but I'll send the council members the version with the green in it.
That ain't in green. and mine
Yeah,
is red.
we just made those amendments.
Okay.
Right, Chipper just sent this over. This is not something that we're gonna be able to take up at council meeting today. But I wanted to put it out here for everybody to have a chance to look at it. You know, if you had any concerns or discussion about it, you know, we can go ahead and talk about it today. And hopefully come February 5th council meeting, we'll be prepared to look at adopting the amendments to the ordinance. Anybody have any questions or anything? Well, I guess we'll wait till we can get the,
Mhm.
Is the green going to change some of the reds?
Mm,
For
it
instance,
is very close. Chipper thought, you know, after he went back and reviewed it, he thought that his comments or his recommendations were more in line with what we do here in Monroeville.
there were some things that amounts and stuff. One of the things is when we were talking about how many days, at least one meal per day served, at least, it used to be 5. Now it's on this red, it's 6.
Okay,
I would think
I didn't
the
catch
5 would definitely still be the same, because sometimes somebody may be closed Sunday, Monday.
Mhm.
And that's the residents, some of them do that now. But I don't, you know, that's one thing that circled on that. And then there was a couple of things where it had a dollars amount,
Yeah.
and they're
The
wrong.
text, yeah,
Okay,
I
Yeah.
changed that.
okay,
Yeah, we caught that and changed that this morning.
okay. I went through, one said $1,500, and it was 500 in parentheses. So,
Right.
okay. Y'all got all of them? There's about 4 or 5
That-
places.
There's the
First
first
right there.
copy. It's got the green.
About 4.
The green
Yeah,
is our Chipper's recommendations, and the red for what we pulled together on Friday.
Now, 50% though is what we're currently requiring on the rest. So that's gonna make a difference there.
Mayor Paul's available too. Paul England is,
Okay, we'll get through this and then.
Now, this micro brewery type of one that's actually considered coming in here is not gonna be actually brewing anything, are they? They're just gonna be blending or something like that.
The micro distillery,
Yeah, distillery.
is,
Now, I have some questions. I don't know.
Right.
I'm not, no, a fact that I'm stating, I'm just questioning it.
is Ms. Thompson on?
No,
Is she
sir.
available?
I can send her the link.
Okay.
You have no new messages.
They're like with fortified wines, that's all they do is put distilled alcohol in it to soup it up.
I don't like drink wine, I can't attest.
I'm very, I will occasionally, but very seldom. That is not gonna be an item I'm drinking for any kind of a buzz. I promise that. Headache, stay out of it. another thing I'm totally ignorant on is you know how the state handles taxing on these items compared to, because they're the sole supplier of any spirits, not a beer and wine, but anything that's over a certain alcohol content, that the only source you have is them.
And
And the tax is very heavily toward the state on that end of it.
they had one in Bruton. I'm not exactly sure, how they went back and proceeded. I'll try and talk to the mayor down there and see how that, what the tax.
I mean, probably it won't make any difference to us. I'm just curious how they look at the handle.
Can y'all hear me now?
Yes, ma'am.
Hello, can you hear me?
Oh, Ms. Thompson, can you hear? Yes, you hear?
Can y'all hear me?
Yes.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Councilman Focal had a question about the distillery.
Okay.
Okay,
I
how does the
was
state
probably-
look, how does the state look at this tax wise for those items of, I mean, it's not, I know there's microbreweries for, as far as wine and beer and stuff, but these enhanced spirit type things were actually, they're blended with, I think, pre-distilled alcohol or something like that. How do they handle the tax part of that? I know it's not gonna make a difference to us necessarily, but I just curiosity, how they handle that part of it.
They're not going to use anything pre-alcohol or anything. They're making it from scratch.
Oh, okay,
Actually, they'll start with grain and go from there.
okay. Yeah, that answered that question then. Thank you.
City
Uh-huh.
limits would get taxed off the spirits over there.
We get a sales tax off of them,
Okay, but not the alcohol.
not the alcohol. So that's where
Yeah.
that's why we're looking at the state store at that time, and it's not advantage to us because we lose that part of the retail part of it because they keep it all.
Now, you'll get sales tax off of it.
Okay.
There was one other question you had, do you remember?
I thought I heard him ask if it's going to be manufactured. And the answer to that
I was also
obviously
questioning
is
the alcohol content too. That when these things get into those higher ends, like 24% on that, it's actually 48 proof. But that, again, those I think are not going to involve us, that's involved state. That was that part of that.
Okay. All right, well, we'll look at this again for the February 2nd council meeting. And hopefully by that time our attorney will have had a chance to incorporate these into the amended section. Okay. We do have Mr. Paul England on board at this time. And I would like Mr. England to go back and talk about the financing options following the sale of the property. And as I said, Mr. England, I informed the council members that we have received the $1 million in escrow account at this time.
Okay. Okay. Well, thank you, Mayor. And I think essentially we were talking, I know that the Sterling building needs a new roof. And my suggestion, or just in talking to the mayor, one option would be, instead of doing a separate or a new loan, would just be to use, say, 200,000. And I'm just using that as kind of our estimate of what we think the roof may cost. Just use that cash and then just apply 800,000 to the existing note instead of the $1 million. And then the city could decide whether they want to pay, continue to pay the $7,583 a month, on the reduced amount. Of course, it'll make your maturity note a little higher, or the city has the option to up the payment if they want on that existing note because we haven't done anything yet. Preston Bolt with Hand Arundel was a bond attorney, and basically he said once the city makes a decision on what they want to do, then, you know, we can circle back and modify the note, but let's just make sure of where we are. One thing I did tell the mayor that what's in the provision of the bond was that the note would go to 3.45, which was the taxable equivalent. Rates have dialed back a little bit, but so we could probably, I mean, I think the rate I gave you, Mayor, was 277.
Mhm.
If I'm not mistaken. I know it was 270. So it's a little bit better deal for the city, you know, but I talked to the bank's willing to do that just because of our relationship with the city. So that would make it, you know, help reduce, I mean, keep the payment the same, but it would save the city money from the original deal, and it wouldn't make too much difference from losing the tax exempt status that we're going to lose, you know, when the property sells.
And Paul, the other thing I suggested is that, come March, we will have paid off the note on the police station.
Right.
And
okay.
in the 2022 budget, that we go back and we budget that same amount and apply it along with the payment that we're making. We're paying that towards principal. And so that would put us back in 2024 close to that $300,000 mark that we had set.
Okay. Yeah. Because the payment on the police station is, I think, $7,665 a month, give or take. So yeah, that would be certainly permissible. There is no prepayment penalty on the bond. So to your point, Mayor, if you want to prepay it, then that would definitely reduce what the city would owe in 2024.
Okay. All right. Any questions for Mr. England?
No, sir.
Okay, there being none. We thank you, Mr. England.
Thank you, Mayor. Let me know if you need me. Okay. I appreciate it. And if y'all have any questions,
All
y'all
right.
know how to get me. Have a good day.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Thank you. Okay. Well, while we're waiting on Mr. Thomas, there were some other issues that came up that I want to present during my time. Currently, we have a dumpsters that we put in place during the holiday. They're costing us $2,100 a month to maintain these. And like I said, the original plan was to set it for the Christmas season. And so, you know, we're past the Christmas season, so I think it's time that, you know, because we didn't budget for this, so that we should return those dumpsters and get out from under that.
Ken, what is the charge for us to leave not a roll type, but actually a monthly type hopper of 8 cubic yards or something like this type thing, kind of like what's already behind the fire station of that type to handle some of this? Is that? I mean,
So I thought that's what we were getting when we asked.
yeah, I didn't think.
Yeah.
I agree with that.
These are much larger than what we had. What size did we have, Melvin?
6
Was it an 8?
6 last year. I know for 8, 6 or 8. Okay.
8. Yeah, and
I'm still wanting, like Larry too, of having something, but this is not. We can't carry on.
Well, what's happening now, you got people there.
They're putting refrigerators and couches
and everything else in there.
chairs and everything. So look like recliners and I don't know what of them.
Christmas tree.
But yeah, I wish we could go with a 6 or 8 like we had before.
Yes. You look at the 6 and an 8.
6 and 8, okay.
Yeah, that other, he was free for a while.
Yeah, he did that. Last year he did. Yeah.
Well, I think for December, he gave these to us free, didn't
Right.
And
And
so
then they said
now-
January, we have to pay.
he? Yeah. So now is the time that it's coming back, he's getting ready to charge us.
Yeah,
And
and I understand his part, and
Yeah.
I'm glad what worked what it did, but
Phew.
I'd like to have something that at some point, if it's not too far out of line, but it'd be an item that's guaranteed. A weekly pickup or a bi-weekly pickup or whatever we would need on that. What do you think, Larry?
Yeah, and I mean, I was kind of shocked to see those roll-offs. I thought we were gonna get like we had before. I thought that's what we had mentioned to him. But, and if we have the 6 or 8, maybe that'll eliminate the issue with the recliners and
Yeah.
sofas and mattresses and everything like that.
6 yard, one time a week would be 112. And then the 8 yard, one time a week would be $133. And that's a month.
I mean, we could stand 2 of those
Yeah.
at each fire station. And when we talk about less than $300 a month, or $20-something thousand a year here.
Mhm.
I would like to still see something and then try that on a regular basis, but not what we got right now. I agree with you there.
So, what we want the council to consider is, a motion for a contract
Yeah, contract done.
dump for 2, 6 or 8 yards.
Probably 6. The 8's the ones that you got
Eight's
the
are
side
so
doors
tall,
and people
yeah.
can't get stuff in there. Yeah, we quit them out there at the mill because we were in charge for them. We couldn't ever fill them up because you couldn't get stuff up on top of them.
6 is how the slant. leads.
Okay.
So what
So-
size?
6, I think, like Al said, is the last one with a flip top.
Yeah. Yeah.
The
I
ones
think
that the 8's got the sliding doors in them. People don't fill them up. You get charged for the size, but you don't get them full.
Yeah, I'd say a 6.
But
It'd be 100.
I think part of the question comes in though is who monitors what goes in? If the lid just flips up, you can dump anything.
You still could, but the other lids go up. It's just a high. It's hard to get it over in there. There again. We tried this and this ain't gonna work. We tried that and that may not work neither.
So.
And the ones that we had, I'm sorry, go ahead.
I'm just trying to get a feel to the 6 or the 8, so. I'm saying
Well,
the 6.
The one that had the flip tops like we had last spring or whatever.
Yeah, that's a 6.
I mean, I don't know which it is, or 6 or 8. But
Till you start telling me, I think that you're right.
And we could start out once a week if we need it, step it up to twice.
Yeah. If it gets too bad, we'll have to just quit.
Hopefully we keep it off the side of the road.
Thing that I hate about it is they gonna get the garbage pretty well one way or the other, and we still gonna pay it. But they get a little more out of us this way because they actually see a dumpster to go to it. If they don't go there, they're gonna go to some of the businesses and dump it. I know you quite sure you get people dump stuff in yours. I know our church does and other businesses does too. That the garbage is still going somewhere. It's just
And
how
they'll go to they'll start going back to community house, cameras or no cameras,
All right. Next item on the work agenda is to have a request from Jamie Rao to lease the land back out there at the industrial park that he touched the hay on. I think it's roughly about 20 acres. And the previous lease was for $100 a month.
did it work out on that?
Yes, sir.
Okay, that's all.
It saves us, we normally have to cut it 4 to 5 times a year.
I know it looked good. I didn't know if it was y'all had to go back and do it or he
No,
actually
he
did.
does a good job.
Okay.
And he's actually got some down there, that he really don't cut the hay, just bush hog. Now that one part of where we have to take the skid steer over and to get down in there.
Mayor, was it $100 a year or $100 a month? I thought it was a year.
On here, it says $100 per year.
Per year.
We're giving it to him just to cut it. And if that's working out, then that's good.
Okay. The next item that I'm going to present for the council for action when we get into the meeting is the purchase of the new fire truck. I understand that half of the funding was carried over from last year and half of the funding made available this year. The reason that they wanted to move ahead with approving the contract for purchasing is that at the end of the month, the prices on the truck will go up. And so, we do have the contract that's available. I think that y'all may have already discussed it, the options and things of that. If not, I can get that for you. But I think this is something that the city, had already decided to do, and that's why they have moved forward with the contract purchase.
Yeah, we kicked the ball down the road. As long enough. We stalled a couple more years and we just got to keep our money a couple more years.
Prices will keep going up.
Well, yeah, but it's about the same thing, about it equals out and one way or the other. My biggest thing about it is as long as we've waited, we've got a new fire truck. I mean, I'm serious. If we waited 2 years, we got 2 more years added on a tail end before this one gets too old. So that part of it has been good, man.
Okay. Let's see if there's anything else.
The strategic plan.
Yeah. The last item I have here is that there is a grant available and to update the strategic plan. I think it was due to be updated in 2017. And it has not been updated. And what I'm asking the council for are the names and email addresses for whoever you believe would be stakeholders to update this strategic plan. And if you would submit those recommendations to our city clerk, then we can get this information to the individual. What's his name, Mary?
Joe Sumners.
Joe Summers. I think he was the one that was involved in doing the strategic plan before. But the way he's doing it this year is much different. He's not actually going through holding meetings. He's sending out surveys and questionnaires, because of the issue we have with Zoom. Not Zoom, with COVID-19. But anyway, he thought that was a much safer way to do it. He already has something to work from, and this would give him an opportunity to be able to go through an update.
That's at no cost to us.
There's no cost to us.
The other is how many people you want and any requirements of who those people might be.
I think I think they prefer citizens of Monroeville, but if there are others that have a vested interest in the city and the strategic plan, that those are fine. But any and all email addresses you can send to us, the more the better.
And basically, a strategic plan, what does it encompass, or what if I go to a person and ask them this, what are they, what things they need to know or be able to do to accomplish it? I mean, is it going to be for how we do emergency response, or is it going to be operations of the city, or what do we have to?
I think that because the strategic plan is on the city's website.
Yes, sir.
And it would be good if they had the opportunity to go and look at what they talked about, what the goals and objectives are there.
Okay.
And then they can go back and provide input as to what they would like to see accomplished. There's some things on there that may have already been accomplished, and there are some things on there that it's a work in progress. And any ideas or suggestions about new goals and objectives is kind of what they're looking for.
I think there's 10 categories. There's education, healthcare, quality of life.
Okay.
But they've kind of filtered them in and funneled them down to, there used to be 13, but now they funneled them down and kind of made it more comprehensive to where it's not as many categories, but it still has the same impact. So anybody that you think would be a strength, but we don't even have to categorize the people that want to be involved in it. Joe will send out the survey, and then everybody just formulates their opinion off the survey, and it'll help the city build a good vision statement for the next 5 years. Oh, good. Hi, Mr. Anthony. So we're not going to have like specific committees. It's kind of a free for all, and the surveys are going to be built on a general survey versus a specific survey.
Okay. Welcome, Councilman Thomas.
Hey, how y'all doing?
All right. Yeah, we were just going through and we were asking all the council members if they could to submit names and emails for stakeholders to update our Monroeville strategic plan. It's being done by Joe Summers. There's no charge to the city in order to get this done. The current goals and objectives are available on the city website if they want to get some idea of what they're looking at.
Okay.
The couple of other things, we've already worked on the landscaper position, and what we decided to do was to look at doing the contract until we can get things in place that we can actually hire a city worker to perform these duties. And that way, we can go ahead and get issues addressed up there with planting of the flowers and the shrubs and that type of thing. But it'd be a temporary contract.
Okay.
We also discussed on the community house terrace room courtyard to look at send out bids for the repair because it's probably going to run about $50,000. And what we're going to do is that we have $350,000 set aside for the Rebuild Alabama Act because we were anticipating we might get $250,000 from it. So right now, what we will do is use $50,000 to cover this repair at the community house terrace room down there that the insurance company made a big issue out of. And then we use the remaining $300,000 for the paving project.
Okay.
And we talked about the Land Digger Food Bank returning to the community house and under the same arrangements that they had before for half the cost.
Okay.
We had Mr. England to come forward and he talked about the financing options following the sale of the property. We have received $1 million in an escrow account for the sale of the IP building out there. We've gone through and we had discussion about the alcohol ordinance amendment to include breweries and distilleries. We sent out an amended portion on it that has comments that are in green from the city attorney. The items that are in red are from other ordinances that we found in other existing cities. So the city attorney's recommendations are in green. So that was emailed out.
Okay.
I'll email it after we're done.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
And then we were talking about the dumpsters that were delivered for Christmas. Because of the type of dumpster, they would charge us $2,100 a month to maintain those. And discussion centered around getting rid of those dumpsters and putting 6 cubic yard dumpsters in place that will cost us, I think it's $112 a month.
Oh, that's good. Okay.
Be 2 of them, one beside each fire station.
That's right.
We discussed renewing the industrial park land lease with Jamie Rowell for $100 a month. I mean, $100 a year. I'm sorry. Up price on it. And also, we discussed about the purchase of the new fire truck and moving forward with approving that contract to try and beat a price increase at the end of the month.
Okay.
Now, the other item that we're coming back to is the ordinance amendment on privileges of the floor. And I saw you responded with some comments. So, I'll give you an opportunity now to talk about your comments to it.
Yeah, I would just like to see, like, you know, still to be, live within the city limits. I would like to see this, if anybody got a matter that, you know, just change it to say that, you know, long as dealing with, city business, I would like to see it change to that, you know, still, they give other people opportunity because we have a lot of people that's come in from out of town. They speak, they speak, at the city council meeting. They don't live in the city limits. And also the other one was, but you know, there need to be a change of command. Like if anybody got a issue with personnel, go through you or whatever, and have like a step, you know, in a change of command for as personnel, and make it be known that it can't be discussed unless it is in executive session to take care of good name and character. And I think that's what we need to do. Add that to this ordinance here. Also, it was something there by creating a application for addressing the floor to the citizens, for they have something to go by, some kind of procedure to go by when they want to speak on the floor. I would like to see that add to the ordinance.
Exactly. And
I guess they
the,
put that
there's
on
a couple of
application.
things that I would suggest adding to the ordinance. In that they could not address, and that was like, and it kind of goes back to what you were talking about, where it says they are not allowed to make complaints related to personnel matters, matters regarding the general reputation and character of the individual, or pending criminal investigations.
That's right. That's right.
And also, we have a form when you go to your email that deals with privileges of the floor request. And
If it's something that they shouldn't talk about, then let's not approve it.
well, on the form privileges of the floor, we were looking at adding the items that that they could not discuss onto the form, so they know it before they come in.
That's right. I agree with that.
So can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am.
Oh, okay.
So what we will do, based on the input from the council, we'll go back to get your input and put on here, and then we'll bring it up at the February council meeting.
Okay.
Now, of everything y'all said, I agree with, except for the citizens of Monroe County, Monroe. If somebody's got an issue outside the city, they can get somebody to speak on their behalf. But I think we ought to not get into, if it deals with Monroeville, it ought to deal with citizens of Monroeville and for them to bring it to us.
What'd you say, Melvin? Say that again.
Use your preacher voice.
If we have issues with the city of Monroeville, then we should have issues with the citizens of the city of Monroeville for their issues is who we should be concerned with. Now, if someone outside has an issue, they can get somebody to represent them as a citizen of Monroeville to come before us.
I have a question.
They would still have a voice, but let them have it through a citizen of Monroeville.
So what you're saying is they have to get somebody that's a citizen to speak for them. That's what you're saying.
I have a question. Can y'all hear me?
Yeah.
What if you have somebody that's from here that moved off for work or something and still have land and stuff like that? They can still come back and talk because they're still, you know, landowners and stuff down here, right?
I guess.
If they're on the voter registration, I mean, if they're a citizen representative there.
I mean, if they have property and stuff down here, you know, I feel like they still should be able to speak because they're still paying taxes.
Because we have to prove what they're gonna speak about anyway.
But I mean, we're still representing our citizens, and that's who we need to be concerned with. And said we're not Monroe County, we're Monroeville. But I see your point on that part of it is probably.
Yeah, because if I own something somewhere else, I feel like, you know, if something's going on, I want to If I got some skin in the game, I want to have something to say about it too.
Okay.
Huh?
Their point again would be the mayor would have an opportunity to, at his discretion, to allow that to happen.
So Melvin, if it's
Yeah.
somebody in Monroe County that would like to speak, they have to get a citizen in the city in order to speak for them. Is that what you're saying?
In a sense, that's what I'm saying. I'm saying that we're dealing with people, Monroeville, and that's the concerns we have. If someone from URI or Excel or that has a complaint or a concern, then in order to express that, I don't think we need to entertain that issue. But if there is a legitimate thing, there's probably somebody they know that lives in the city limits of Monroeville, as a citizen of, to bring that same question before us.
But Melvin, I think they need to get it from the horse's mouth. It's the same.
That's right.
It's the same concept.
That's right.
It's best for it to come from the horse's mouth.
Horse's mouth. You're right.
It's the same concept. Where if you get somebody to come from the county, get somebody to speak in the city, it's the same concept. So you might well let them get it.
They're spending money in the city, so I can understand why they can't speak.
If they want to have somebody to do the discussion, they can find somebody for that. But I don't think we need to get into.
But Melvin,
with everybody in the county.
The people in Monroe County are spending money in the city, so I can't understand why they can't speak. They come in, they spend money in the city, so they should be able to speak.
I agree.
Because we're an easy voice for them to find to speak is what main thing I'm after. Is if they've got
I really don't see a harm in them, speaking, because at the end of the day, we still make the decisions, right? So hearing somebody speak, going by the guidelines and the qualifications that we set, well, I don't see the real issue with that.
I understand your point of land ownership, and I agree. I'll probably agree with that, but I just
because we're gonna prove what they're speaking about. So if it's something we don't want to hear,
that's some of the issue there. The time frame of when they can submit this and when they can come before us is pretty tight. That's if we got to do it by 12 o'clock on Monday and we're meeting on Tuesday evening, the decision of allowing that and so on and so forth is still pretty broad.
If it's something that we don't want to hear, then we don't have to approve it.
Right.
Because they have to write on the application what they're gonna be talking about.
And we don't have to do it that meeting. We can do it the next meeting.
As the mayor said, now that may be an issue there if you change that timing.
Well, you can do it at the next meeting. You don't have to do it at the same meeting. You can skip over a meeting.
Well, I was gonna say, if you require them to have their submission in by 12 noon on Friday, then we could put it out when we send out the agenda packets and you know what they're talking about.
Yeah. It don't have to be done right then. We can discuss it and do it the next council meeting over.
That's right.
But I agree that citizens of Monroe will need to have priority in speaking to the council. That's who put us.
Ain't no doubt.
Well, that's true, but we're talking about people that's not in Monroe.
We probably in the last year have had more requests from people outside of the city limits of Monroe than ones in the city limits of Monroe.
We have.
So what you're saying is this people outside of Monroeville cannot come in and speak. Even the people that's living in Excel or whatever, they can't come and speak. I don't think that's right. I think we should let them speak. And if it's something we don't want to hear, just call them and tell them we don't think they need to talk about that.
Yeah, that works.
That's a little easier said than done now.
I think the main gist is the reason that they talk about the citizens of Monroeville. Even if we expand it out, it has to be related to a direct connection to a city action. That is what I would look for.
So that's my point.
If you're not a resident of Monroeville, whatever your complaint would be, and even if you are a resident, it's got to be related to a direct city action. If it's not a direct city action that affects you, then you can't come in and speak for somebody else. That would be the way that I would consider, looking at it. And
But that's
think
what I was
that-
saying. That was my point. That was my point, Mayor, to do it that way. It got to be
It has
something
to be
related to.
whatever their comments are, it has to be a direct result of the city action that affected you. No, you're not, and then you have to go through the process. There is a process in here, because see, this ordinance says that you can't give your time to somebody else to speak.
That's right.
No.
That's why, but that's, well, that part of it is when you have the meeting and then they have one spokesperson and everybody, 5 people to sign up, we're gonna give one person 20 minutes to talk.
Won't happen.
That's right. But I mean, that's the way that would end up for them.
Right, and that's the reason we're trying to get some guidelines in place.
Yeah.
So if you go through and you designate one person to speak for that group, that one person got 5 minutes. And I think that's the way it's spelled out in the order. Okay. We'll go back, and so are we good with the language that a person can present for the council that as a result of a direct city action that concerns them?
Right.
Yes, I agree with that.
I agree with it.
I think that limits it down to. I'm just throwing stuff out, whatever it is that the council agrees that the way that they want to see it happen. And also on the privileges of the floor request form, the things that are not permitted to be discussed will also be put on the privileges of the floor request form. Okay. But we'll go back and we'll make those arrangements, and we can bring this up for review at the next council meeting. Are y'all in agreement?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. Okay. Okay, that is all I have. This time, we'll go through the department head, Mike.
What about the fish habitat? Did we ever make a decision on this?
We do have the funds available in the ABC fund to go ahead and provide, purchase that habitat. And I think we have enough to place around the lakes that it will be effective. And now is the time to work on at least getting started on it before they fill the lake back up, because then that gives it time to, to begin to grow the algae. And there's some other things out there that we do need to take in consideration. I think this council is blessed because we have a person on the council that goes out and has knowledge of that. And I'd like to yield the floor to Councilman Ruffin at this time, and for him to give us some suggestions about what we need to do with the lake.
How long will it be before they're able to get water back in the lake?
Hopefully by March 1st.
March 1st.
And where are you guys gonna get the fish from? Type? Do y'all have a type? How many different types?
Well, from what I saw on the lake plan, they were talking about brim, bass, and catfish.
Okay. Well, that lake needs to sit there at least for about 2 weeks, and then let everything get acclimated before you put the fish in. I need to know how many you're gonna get and what type, because I think you can kind of wait for those fryers to come out, unless you're gonna get a bunch of them when they spawn in March, and you should have them probably like April. And if you can buy some of those things that Mr. Lashley was talking about, you can have those masses, like they grow out in masses, and you can put them in there where those bigger adult fish can't get them. But it just all depends on what you're trying to do and what type. I have to look back and do my research. And the reason why I know, I used to have an aquaculture program at the high school for a couple of years. So where I grew Japanese koi, catfish, and tilapia. And I had at least probably at one time about 30 or 40,000. Fringlings that I end up growing up into a couple of hundred fish.
So would your recommendation be that we move forward with purchasing the habitat structures?
Yes. The most important thing is going to be your adult fish. Like I said, with those masses, you can get anywhere between 10 to 80,000 little bitty fryers that you're trying to grow up to be big adult fish. Of course, that some of those fish that you're talking about again will be predatory fish, and they'll eat the fingerlings. So out of all that, you still have enough to survive, at least out of one of those groups.
So the children went fishing.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
But any questions that you got about the fish, if you let me know ahead of time, I can get back with you and give you the research about it.
Okay. We'll have Mike Lanston be in touch with you.
Hey, can you give me the exact size of that pond too?
It's right at 5 acres.
Okay.
Aren't you gonna just put bream in the first year?
Well, now the state, what they recommended, whenever they come down and done their checking and all back in spring, they suggest, I think it was 5,000 brim to start with.
Okay.
I think it was like 5,000 brim.
And you're gonna be able to put those in when?
As
In March?
soon as we can late fill, wait until about, if we get it filled up by sometime in February, we can do it in March.
Yeah, as long as the water is not like below in the low 30s,
Yeah.
you'd be good. But then, like I said, then again, I have to go back and look at the health rates and what it takes for them to survive, what the water can go down to, different things like that. Because catfish are very resilient when it comes to temperature. Take for instance, like tilapia, they can't stand, cold weather. They're a tropical fish. So if you don't grow them in those raceways with heaters, you'll kill them. Trust me, I killed a bunch of them before. So
what we wanted to do was wait, put the brim in there this year, and then wait till next spring and put the catfish in the bags.
yeah, as long as, like I said, as long as by the time you put them in, the weather's right and the water temperature is the right thing. And I think the size 5 acre wise, I go back and do the math on it, but I think it'll be good to put those in there, just depending on how big they are. But let me look at it and I'll get back with you.
Now, what do you think about maybe for the first few months or so feeding the brim?
Feeding is very important because if you do too much feeding, the pH balance in the water will go up and you'll kill anything you got. So that's why you got to do the calculations to figure out how much to feed them. So whenever you give me the size and the weight, it's a lot to it. I mean, I don't want to sound like an absolute nerd or something, but you have to know the growth rate that you want to get. And then you have to understand how much you're putting in, because if the ammonia level goes up in the water, it becomes toxic.
All right, we need to get together and look at all of that.
Yeah.
So if you
Get a plan.
When we were talking about the feeding, Mike had talked with a gentleman that would provide a feeder. We would just have to buy the food.
Yeah, he said if we bought the food from him, he would furnish the feeder, and he said that because I told him we may have to feed them for the first 6 months. So he said if we're gonna do it for 6 months, he could just give us the feeder.
That fresh water, you're not gonna have a source of food.
Yeah, I know. But now I was thinking too, it'd probably be best if we gonna feed them, because we won't have to feed them every day, I don't think, but if we could just hand feed them, because we put a feeder out there, I don't think it's gonna take long.
Mike.
No,
You're not optimistic about anything.
All right.
I think the wind might blow it away.
Dump it some can.
Yeah.
All right. You got anything else, Mike?
Yes, sir. What about the landscaping in front of the police station and the community house?
Well, I guess we'll take that up for discussion for the next meeting, because he gave us quotes on that. but one was like for $4,000 and the other one was for $8,000. So I think let's go ahead and get the things in place to do this first contract, because then that comes back and that's an individual thing, and I'll give the council, they'll have time to look at what he's proposing doing, and we can take it up at the next meeting. Okay.
You're gonna need a motion to purchase the fish habitat and
Yes, we already have that. I think it's 18.
It's a little over
$99.
$1,800, and they said on their website, if you order the 12, which would be $1,800 something, there's free shipping. So now I don't know how long it's gonna take to get them, because everything now is just way behind.
Now, I got a question. Are y'all gonna buy fryers too? Or y'all gonna get, good sized fish or medium size or what?
Well, it depends. Now, the brim actually be medium size, I was thinking. But now then next year, whenever we buy the catfish and the bass, they'll have built, I think the catfish about £1 a piece or something like that, maybe.
You want kitchen size already? Huh?
Oh, yeah.
ABC contingency.
The thing about it, another thing we need to look at is how long we want to close the lake for and how we gonna monitor that. Because it's gonna be hard to keep anybody out of that. That's gonna be a tough thing, but and that's just like putting these brim in there. You got people that go around and go fishing, they don't care what size they are. If they get the grease smell in there, fry them up.
From experience.
No, I don't eat brim. But as soon as we put them catfish in there, there's gonna be people about fishing. And you're gonna have to give the bass time to grow. So I think we need to look at, now I do have some signs that, lake closed, no fishing. But, signs are not gonna be able to completely stop them.
You're right.
Put up riprap.
Yeah.
Strong arm of the law can stop them.
could we ask our animal control officer to
Well,
patrol
that too, and also
It's on the weekends.
we could go get with the state, the wildlife fishing game, and see if they could patrol that area. Because they have written tickets over before. The game warden has written tickets. So they would help us out with it.
If we get through 1 year of it, then you're gonna be pretty well where you want to be anyway.
Yeah. And we the state had told us back in the spring that there's grants and stuff out there where we could actually get reporting stations. And it'll be a cleaning station and a reporting station, and it's sort of like an honor system thing. And you put one at each end of the lake, and when someone caught something, they would actually weigh it and measure it and record it. You ain't got to put your name or nothing down there. You ain't got to say who you are or anything. All you got to do is record the fish, what kind it was, the weight, and the length. And it's sort of an honorary reporting system. But I did say there's grants out there to purchase those.
All right. Chief Armstrong?
Yes, sir.
Okay. You're up next.
I would just like the council to consider the hiring of Matthew Johnson as a corporal with the police department. Hiring him in at $16.48 an hour on the old pay scale.
Regular meeting. We're not in the regular meeting.
All right. Any questions for the chief? I did have a chance, Chief, to go out and for the council's information, we had talked about handicap parking enforcement and everything, and we were able to put out a news release in the journals today to talk about the specifications that are required for you to park in the handicap zones and this type of thing. So they were getting some complaints, and the court was getting some complaints. So this should clarify any issues that they have with that. Okay. All right. Chief Black, are you on?
Nope.
That Bill will never do the invocation.
Okay,
Amanda, do you want
all right.
I have a question.
Yes,
What are we doing about jobs? I mean, we don't, we need to get some jobs in here. And I guess we need to talk to Darlene about that. But what are you doing about trying to get some jobs in here?
Hey.
yes, ma'am. We are, well, when I first came in, there were several issues out there that I'm working through to get resolved. And I have been talking with Ms. Thompson about jobs. And I am planning to have a meeting with the director of ADECA so that we can go up and sit down and have a discussion with him about links, about people who are trying to look for locations to put jobs. Right now, Ms. Thompson has been going back and following up on leads. But one of the issues that has come up right now is with COVID. And it is very difficult to go back and try and get an opportunity to sit down and talk with people in person and things of that nature. But we are still in the process of going through to look at additional jobs. Now, we have had some businesses that came in that they wouldn't provide a great number of jobs for some, but they ran into issues with trying to get financing to get off the ground. And it's been very difficult for them to do with this COVID issue. So we are not giving up on looking for them, but we are continuing to move forward and look for prospects.
Okay.
Any news on the grocery store that she had presented to us?
Yes, sir, is my understanding. And I don't know if she's still on now or not, but they have come to an agreement between the person for the grocery store and the property owner out there, and that is moving forward.
Yes.
Slaughterhouse.
Okay. All right. I don't know if we have any other staff members before I get to the councilman. If not,
the community house refunds?
yes.
Okay. I just sent out an email this afternoon about community house refunds. Due to COVID, there was one for February 13th. Due to the pandemic, they canceled, and then we received another one after Christmas. That was a class reunion for Union High School class of 67. They wanted to have a reunion in June.
I didn't get those.
Okay. There was one, I think I sent them this afternoon. Did you guys get them? Did you get?
I didn't look at anything
Okay.
today, so I didn't.
Okay, well, there's one for one in February, and then there was Union High School that sent one in December. They want to cancel their events. One is in June of 2021. And then this other one was for the community house on February 13th.
Okay.
And they're just refunds.
Okay. We talked about this earlier. Anything that books starting now, there'll be no refund. Can we do that? I mean, if they're gonna book it, and there's some point in time we've got to stop this. I mean, they're gonna have to take the chance of getting it. I'm not saying people would book last year for something this year, but if you book it now, you're gonna take the chance to reserve it for you. You know, COVID's out there. We either, if you want to guarantee you a place to stay, then you bite the bullet and go with it. If not, you wait and take your chances to the last minute. I mean, is that not reasonable to ask? I mean, we're possibly losing some people that would go ahead and do an event. I mean, we're doing a wedding this weekend. And there's several others. I mean, there's people still doing things. But, you know, at this point, when they did it before this happened, I understand it. I feel the same way and a problem. But anyway, starting from now on, because their other option is don't book it. Don't give us a deposit and take the chance if it's going to be available. but you're taking it out of, we're just throwing a lot of, out of the thing for people to have opportunity to, somebody else to pass.
I don't think these are full refunds. I think they're just the deposits that they've made. So it's not, but it's up to you all if you want to set a date as of February 1st, we'll no longer be able to refund, or if you want to wait and
Anything
see.
booked after a certain point. in time.
Okay.
Is that y'all feel that way or not? Anybody else got comments on that?
And if the governor shuts it down again, then of course you have to give it back to him, right? If she mandates that all parties
Now, that's a different ball game, but still
put it in there.
right now, if somebody that would do some, in fact, I've already know of one that told me, it said we needed it on this certain date and we can't get it because it's already booked. And I'll be surprised, and I'm curious to watch that one. I'm not gonna say anything about it, but if they turn around and cancel, and then the other person who wanted to talk to me would have went through with their event, because they made events, they did something alternative. So I mean, we're losing. I know when you didn't know this was going to happen, if you booked it last year, I understand that. But from now on, you take your chances. You know, some money, let that day be open. And if it's open 2 months before and you're still going to do it, you've got it.
That's what our standard policy is that we can give you a refund if your date can be re-rented.
But you're not even offering it to somebody now because it's already booked.
Right.
And I'm not saying the previous one. I'm talking about from whatever date from now on. If you book it from now on, then you got that option. You either wait and take your chances, or that's part of the reason of putting the deposit down to guarantee you got a place.
So in other words, what you're saying, if you come back and cancel, you don't get your deposit back.
That's right. If from this day on, that's the reason of the deposit, to hold it. And if you don't do it, then that's what most deposits are. They're kept.
Right. Now, you may mention something about if the governor comes out with another order.
If there's a shutdown, I can go along with that.
Okay. All right.
I mean, I can go along. If they say you can't do it, then it's something else. If somebody says, I'm just not getting enough people now, but I want to go ahead and book that, reserve that place. And then if I can't get enough people for a family reunion or whatever it is, then we'll just get our money back.
So what date we looking at, February 1 or?
I mean,
March
basically
1.
March 1st.
March.
Huh?
Let's do it in March.
Okay.
Hey, Mary,
Yes, sir.
can we put that in bold, right, and let them really understand that, make sure they get a letter or whatever?
Yes, sir.
If you don't mind.
Sure.
Okay, so we're gonna need a motion.
What about the ones already booked? Do we need to go ahead and send them a letter also? The ones already booked for
If
the rest
they're booked, I have no problem with it. I'm just wondering, we gotta cut it off at some
The
point.
ones already booked.
I got you. Okay.
You already got it booked. If it happens, I'm willing to go along with that.
I agree. I got you.
It's getting to be too easy of an excuse. We'll go ahead and book it. We'll blame it on COVID. Because before COVID come along, we didn't do this.
You're right, Melvin. I agree with you.
Okay, so any new reservations made after March 1st are not permitted for refunds unless the governor directs us.
Yeah.
That's right. Yeah.
All right.
It's 5 o'clock.
Yeah. Any comments from council members?
Yeah, man, I have one thing. I know you talked about the dumpster earlier. Like during the holidays, like the Thanksgiving and Christmas, can we kind of work out something with Publix to rent those big dumpsters during that time of the year, towards the end of the year? Still the small ones?
Let's see how these work. That's probably a good idea, maybe at one time at Christmas.
Yeah, one time at Christmas, because you're going to have a whole lot more trash during that time of the year. During the
Have you
holidays.
seen what's been put in them in the last several weeks?
Yes, sir.
Refrigerators and couches. Yeah.
I saw a mattress and
It's
everything.
not just garbage.
Maybe we need to set a public hearing for the zoning and the distillery, maybe next meeting.
Well, we gotta get the ordinance first. And so we'll do the ordinance on the next meeting. And at the same time, we'll suspend the rule and adopt the ordinance. And then we'll set the public hearing for next council.
two.
Right,
From February, the second meeting in February.
right, second meeting in February. So this is not ready for us to bring up for a vote at this time. Okay. As Melvin said, it's 5 o'clock.
Somewhere.
You keeping me on the agenda.
We'll be on.
Okay.
Invitation.
All right, this is the meeting, right?
This is me.
Got it. Hey, everybody. Ready?
Yeah.
Our Father, we are thankful for the day, for the possibilities, and hopes and dreams. Just from sitting and listening, I feel good and I feel hopeful, and I pray for your blessings. Would you give us them? We will be faithful to bless you for the gifts you bring to us. Amen.
Amen.
Okay. You do the pledge of allegiance. The pledge. I
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Bill, thank you for your double service, Bill.
I'd just like to do it. Seems like the councilman should sit. Stand. You can stay or go, it's up to you.
Let's say a minute, this is fun.
We haven't thrown anything.
See it on
Yes,
music.
this is fun.
It's different.
Okay. Okay, the first item on the agenda is the approval of the minutes for the work session held on January 5th, 2021 at 3 p.m. Public hearing is held on January 5th, 2021 at 4:50 p.m. And for the regular meeting is held on January 5th, 2021 at 5 p.m. Do I have a motion to approve the minutes as written?
I make a motion to approve all three.
Okay. Do I have a second?
Second.
Okay, any discussion? There being none, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, all opposed? No. Okay, next item for action is resolution 21-01-001. These are cost confirmations, and this is related to the work abatements that was done on a lot of these properties.
But I Chuck.
Chuck Browning.
Okay.
Before we do the resolution.
Okay.
What about Chuck?
Gonna get him.
We're gonna
What
get
about
him. Okay, right, we'll go ahead and get this cost resolution out of the way first, and then we'll have Chuck up. Okay, and that is the approval to pay for the weed and abatement on the properties that that have already been performed.
Yes, sir.
So do I have a motion to approve?
I'll make a motion, Mayor.
Second? Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, it's unanimous vote. Okay, now I would like to welcome Mr. Chuck Downing to go ahead and give us an update about COVID. I attended the meeting this morning. I'll be there bright and early volunteer.
Thank you. Before I do an update on COVID, I do want to thank the city for helping with this. It's been a real community collaborative effort with the drive-through vaccination. We're going to try to start doing in the morning. And we're going to do it starting in the morning. And just for anybody that could be watching, it'll be at Monroe County High School from 9 to 3 o'clock. Alabama Department of Public Health will be administering the vaccine. It will be the Moderna vaccine. Everybody will get a return card. for 28 days, come back to the same place to get the second shot. Again, the Chief Armstrong helped me with the traffic routing that we're going to be doing. Chief Black helps. We're going to have the ambulance out there to help for backup in case something, God forbid, goes wrong. We'll have plenty of help. Even Mr. Lassiter helped with the barricades. So the city has really stepped up on it, and I appreciate it. The county appreciates it, sure, as well. We had tons of volunteers, and that was a terrific turnout this morning. I probably should have had a much larger space for everybody to be in. So I would just encourage anyone that's 75 years of age, that's a healthcare worker or a first responder of any type, to come out and get vaccinated. It could be a long line, but we've taken some steps to move as many people through there as quickly as possible. We were limited in our dosages by how much epinephrine we had on in supply, but we quadrupled it, so we'll be able to push more people through at one time. So having said that, I look forward to seeing folks out there. It's gonna be a pretty day, and we'll get as many people vaccinated as possible. I have been told by public health they're not worried about running out, so we'll hope to see a lot of folks.
Are clergy first responders?
The questions I get, I was not expecting that one.
I think they are.
Look, I have a question. Can out-of-town people come here to get their shot?
Okay, there's not a residency restriction at all. So if you're 75, a first responder, or a healthcare worker.
So what you're saying, out-of-town people can't come in?
No, they can't. There's no residency restriction. You can
Okay, I just didn't hear that part.
You can live in
Okay.
Reston and get vaccinated.
Second,
Okay, okay.
if our facility can be of any help at any point in the process, we would welcome you.
Okay, thank you very much. Thank you. Does anybody else have any questions about tomorrow? Okay. All right, so as far as COVID is concerned, you know, I've taken it really, you know, everybody's taken it hard over the last few weeks of the number of deaths we've had in the county, and this has kind of lit a fire under me as trying to do whatever we can to help stop the trend we're doing. Like right now, we have 14 confirmed deaths in the county and 3 probable. That number is going to go up simply because the reporting hasn't caught up. To get a confirmed death from COVID, it has to go to the CDC and be examined, the pathology and everything before they'll actually say it's a confirmed death. So those statistics drag a little bit behind. That's irrelevant to me. Everybody has seen the paper. Everybody knows personally somebody that they've lost recently because of this. And I would just please ask everybody to make common sense decisions on what you do to protect yourself until you can get vaccinated. Social distance, I know it's over talked, but just please stay as far away from somebody as humanly possible when you can't protect yourself. And that's just assume anybody you're around probably has it. Wash your hands, sanitize. Whatever common sense measures you can take to protect yourself would be greatly appreciated in the community.
Did you answer the question about clergy?
I'm not Department of Public Health, so I'll have to ask.
All right.
They are the final say-so on that, and I'm hoping they would have the correct answer to that, but I can't
We
speak
understand.
for them. I cannot speak for them. So currently this morning, we have 203 active cases in the county, or 14-day cases. At a high, we were at 269, so that number has dipped down. I'm kind of weary of it because Monday was a holiday, so I don't know if we'll have another little uptick. We've seen it happen on the weekends and holidays, especially holiday weekends. The numbers will drag down. I don't know if that's labs that are slow to report or whatever, but it seems to tick up really high right after that. So we'll know in the next couple of days if that is a legitimate number or if it's going to creep back up. 203 is still significantly higher than we've been throughout the end of last summer or even the fall. As we know, the hospital capacity is strained to the limits. We can't find beds in other locations to put people who need to be on ventilators. And to say that it's dire might be, it's close. I mean, we are struggling with putting people in a good position to recover from this disease. because of capacity. So again, that leads back to people making common sense decisions about their welfare. So I can't make a plea hard enough to please just protect yourself.
Chuck, question.
Yes,
When you just said that 200 and something people in 14 days.
yes, sir.
Now, if it was 200 something people every 14 days from several months back, we'd be at 5,000 people at this point in time. I mean, where does that cut off and where does that actually include? That's been a mystery to me.
So when I say an active case, it just means tests that were done in the last 14 days, 203 of them were positive.
Okay, how many have we totaled so far?
Oh, total, it was 1,473.
Okay, but that's what I'm getting at. If 200 and something over a 10-week period of time is that number. There's something like it's something kind of rolling together, it seems like to me.
Well, the concern of the 14 days is because they're not contagious the whole time, but that's the ones that you worry about that could be out in the communities and doing the community spread. For the longest time, we hung around 18, 20 to 30, and we never really approached, God forbid, 200. But all of a sudden we shot up. There were days we added 40 something cases a day. And we jumped up to all the way up to 269 right after Thanksgiving. So it's crept down a little bit, but what I'm saying is 3-day weekend holidays with the lab reporting is always a little bit of a drag, and they catch it up and they throw these big numbers at us afterwards. And if we don't have it in the next couple of days, I'll be surprised.
And then also, is a person tested, retested, are those?
They are not. They're counted as one positive.
Okay.
They are counted in the test total, but they're not counted in if you get tested positive 3 times in one period, you get 1 positive on the website.
Okay.
That's been the question a lot. So that is legitimate.
Now, I also heard that positive tests can linger for a long time, even if the person is.
Correct. You cannot be contagious and still show a positive test. So, we're still not even a year in this. So they learn more and more every day. As you can see, the guidelines for quarantining has changed a lot. They used to say you could test after 5 days and you're good. Well, now they're saying you can be contagious up beyond that and still be contagious to everybody if you test negative after 5 days from your exposure. So it's hard to give a true and fast rule about what's going on. I'm no expert at it, so I'm just trying to do by what the CDC says and what public health says, not what the news says. So
thank you for that quick answer. You knew it.
Anything else?
Keep up the good work.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Does it appear that there may be any time in the near future that the age limit may drop down to 65?
Yeah, that's a great question. It gets asked a lot. It's a moving target, so you can't really put your finger on it. The easy answer is when they get through with the first phase, they'll go to the second. So it's dependent on vaccine availability, and the availability to get it to the public.
Somebody said Alabama was going to allocate 1.4% of total vaccine.
I know they were allocated 800,000 doses. And see, for the longest time, they were to start with, that's going to increase. For the longest time, they were separating out the second shot. So you actually had 400,000 vaccinations to do, even with 800,000 doses. Everybody knows that about a week ago, the CDC dropped that to where they said, Moderna and Pfizer has guaranteed us we can get whatever we need. Take that 400,000 that you've held in reserve and put it toward first shots, and they dropped the age to 65. Alabama has just not adopted that yet. It's probably coming. I can't say when. I'm not in public health, but I can imagine that age limit is probably going to drop fairly soon. I know that's ambiguous, but that's the best I can do on that.
Well, I think some of the frustration is you have 3 other states around us that have already dropped to 65, and here we are still sitting at 75. And I think that's what has a lot of people in Alabama frustrated.
Absolutely. It's unfortunate. even, I know the question earlier, do people from out of town come over here? People from here could go to Florida. I know nobody wants to do that, but hopefully Alabama will get in line in the near future. And again, that's also going to be on availability of the vaccine. Thank y'all so much for having me, and I look forward. I know we got a bunch of volunteers coming up tomorrow too, even from the city, so I appreciate it.
There were some sanitation stations that were out. Is there any more of those available to y'all or to like Chamber and Main Street had some stands and stuff like that?
Yeah, I don't have anything like that in the EMA. I do not. I have plenty of sanitizer, the alcohol, 8-ounce bottles, plenty. So if y'all ever need any of those, I can certainly get them.
We have the leftover from your meeting as well, that big box of masks and bottles.
Okay. Great.
That we can get to somebody if you need.
Good, thank you.
I look forward to seeing you.
I'll be there.
Thank you.
Already got a replacement sense
Thank you.
from all them retirements.
Thank y'all.
Michael, take that. Take that with you.
All right. Next item on the agenda is concerns request for proposals for the Sterling building improvement. And ask them to come in, because what we're going to do is to go ahead and put the bids out. And we will have an opening date, a bid award date, and pre-site meeting. And we will set the bid award date for February 16th. Right.
I did not bring that note in here.
Yeah, that's what we
I
have.
believe
I
that
think
is.
that's
I
the
believe that
second
is, yeah.
council meeting in February. And to give everybody an opportunity to respond to the request for proposals, and that's why we were trying to get that done tonight, so we can get it out, and that give them at least 3 weeks.
Yep.
To go back and respond to a proposal, make a site visit if they needed to get all of the information that they need in order to respond to the bid. So I guess what I'm putting forward to the council is a motion to do the request for proposals for the Sterling building improvements. Do I get a motion for that? What this does, it goes back and it takes care of issues with the roof and a few other things. Now, that is what the holding back the money would be for from the loan.
I'll make that motion.
Okay. Do we have a second?
I second it.
Okay. All in favor? Any opposed? Okay, motion carries.
Quick question, there is a mandatory visit for the people bidding on it.
Because we have to rent a lift, so it's all on the other side.
Okay. The next item on the agenda is Police Department new hire, Matthew Johnson, corporal position at $16.48 an hour. Do I have a motion to approve the hire?
I so move.
Okay, do I have a second?
Second.
Okay, any discussion? There being none, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, the next item has to do with the Mardi Gras parade that was to be scheduled. The recommendation now is that because of the amount of COVID that's taken place, that we cancel this Mardi Gras parade. So do I have a motion to that effect?
I so move.
Okay, do I have a second?
Second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, Next item on the agenda has to do with the Land Digger Food Bank and their return to the community house. And they are asking that, as before, that we allow a continuance of a half fee waiver starting in February. And they would set up to do the food distribution on the first Tuesday in February. Do I have a motion to approve the request for Land Digger Food Bank?
Also move.
Okay. Do I have a second?
I second.
Okay. Any discussion?
Mayor,
None?
hey, this is Billy.
Uh-huh.
When is the projected to be through with the lake project? Because if we're doing that food bank and that only route we got to get around the lake is blocked, could be an issue.
It won't be right the first Tuesday in February, I bet you.
I mean, that's my only, and they do it once a month.
If I'm not mistaken, I think that the bottom entrance is open now.
Yeah, but you gotta make the circle.
It's supposed to be done in February. That was their deadline.
Yeah. But it was gonna be over toward the end of February.
Yeah, Michael said there'd water going in and by the end of February.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, as long as, if we can have law enforcement there to make sure that we have an open route to get around, so if we have to get in for that area for some reason, because that'll be the only access, like to Billy Jones' house, unless we come all the way around South Mount Pleasant.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Law enforcement is usually present there, but we'll check with Chief Armstrong. Chief, are you still there?
Yeah, she's over there.
She's on mute.
It shouldn't be a problem.
It shouldn't be a problem, Chief?
No, sir. No, sir.
Okay. All right. Okay. All right. All in favor? Any opposed? Next item on the agenda is warranty deed modification. When Kelly Commercial first came, they were doing business as Kelly Commercial First Responders. And they need to change the name on the warranty deed to Kelly Commercial of Alabama, LLC. And that's the only change for the warranty deed is the change of the name. I'm glad to see they put Alabama on there. So do I have a motion to approve the change to the warranty deed?
I'll make a motion.
Do I have a second?
I second it.
Okay.
I got you.
Okay. Any discussion? There being none, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, the next item on the agenda is to amend the ordinance that was adopted for the MIP building purchase. And it is the same thing to change the name to Kelly Commercial of Alabama. And I would like to give a motion to suspend the rules so we can deal with this meeting.
Motion to suspend the rules.
Okay. Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay.
Gotta get unanimous. Make sure everybody votes.
Everybody voted? Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Okay. Now, we need a motion to adopt ordinance 20-21-01001, and that is the change of the rule, the change of the name from Kelly First Responders LLC to Kelly Commercial of Alabama. Do I have a motion to make the name change in order?
I'll make a motion.
Okay. Do I have a second? Okay. Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Okay. Matters to be presented by the mayor. The first matter would be the approval of the lease by Jamie Rao to lease the 20 acres of property in the industrial park for $100 a year. Do I have a motion to approve the lease?
I make that motion.
Okay, do I have a second?
I'll second it.
Okay.
Yeah, man, slow.
He'll leave you hanging, Phil. Pressure.
Any discussion? There being none, all in favor? Right. Okay. Also need a motion to, concerning the, proposal to purchase 2 6-cubic-yard dumpsters to be placed by the 2 fire stations. Do I have a motion?
Come on, Larry.
So move.
Do I have a second?
Now.
Good. Okay, second by Councilman Folker. All in favor? Okay. The next item is the purchase of the fire truck that we discussed earlier. And the reason is to beat the price increase that's coming up, and the funding's already been identified. Do I have a motion for the purchase of the fire truck?
I so move.
Oh, okay. A second?
I second.
Okay. All right.
Just
All in favor?
What is
Aye.
The total price is, that was Chief, what was the total price on that? $540,000 if we do it?
$495.
Use your preacher voice.
540,401.40.
I have a question for the council. We are contemplating getting the fire truck in white with lime green striping versus our ordinarily lime green and white split due to resale value. They're saying that the lime green is an issue. The department is for it, and I just want to make sure none of you had any heartburn about that.
I got heartburn that they're not red. My granddaughter doesn't like a yellow fire truck.
Well, if it's white, we can transition into red at some point, but it would just be a big contrast if we went red now with all the green.
Okay.
But,
I don't have a problem with it.
That's what they've told us on the resale of this ladder truck that we'll be selling, that the paint color is hurting us.
If they want a cheap fire truck, they take whatever color it is.
Okay.
Tell them to pump water, Billy. That's all they need to know.
That's
It don't
right.
matter what color it is.
Right.
All right. So do I have a motion to accept for the, to go ahead and proceed with the purchase of the
I
fire
already
truck?
got a motion second. I just have a discussion.
Oh, okay. All right. All in favor?
Aye.
It's not gonna cost anymore, is it, to have that pink color? Okay.
And Mayor, you had asked me about the terms. I called him. He said once we signed that contract, if we can get married to do a PO with it, we'll return that signed contract to them. They will invoice us, and then we can pay them.
Okay. All right. Okay. My last item to come up is dealing with the refund request from the community house. So if it's the council's wishes, can I get a motion to no longer refund past March 1st, 2021?
If they book it after March 1st.
Right. If they book it after March 1st, 2021, with the exception that the governor comes out with another mandate saying that we can't use. That's basically what you, that's okay. Okay, all right. Do I have a motion to that effect?
Also move.
Do I have a second?
I second it.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
All right, let's see. I think the only other Okay, any, matters to present by the council member?
Mayor, I'd like to make a motion that we approve spending for fish habitat for Bad Fair Lake of up to $2,000 from the contingency fund at ABC.
Okay, we have a motion on the floor for the purchase of the fish habitat. Do I have a second?
I second that.
Okay, all in favor?
Uh,
Anything else, Councilman? Councilman Fogle?
no, sir.
All right, Councilman Hines?
I don't have anything.
Okay, Councilman McDaniel?
Let's continue to pray for Dr. Eddins and the others.
Okay, Councilman Thomas?
Negative.
Councilman Ruffin?
Austin.
Okay. Chief, you have anything else? Fire truck, Chief Black?
Last night, the hospital done our firefighters' COVID vaccinations. So we've got those done. And also some of the police department was there as well, I think, to follow up with theirs. And if everything goes well next week on some x-rays and stuff, I'll be back February 1st.
That's good.
Good.
That's the time Steve Armstrong?
I don't, no, sir.
Okay. Michael?
Oh, do we need a motion or something to bid out the brickwork? Or we're gonna go ahead with that, or?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, there is a item on that, yeah. What's the council's wishes on setting, requesting a proposal for bid for the repair of the, brickwork at the community house? What's the name of the room?
The terrace room.
Terrace room,
The courtyard.
right, the courtyard.
Do we have specifications of what we want to bid?
Well, we could write something up, you know, we could use the quotes we got and come up with something.
I guess that's apples versus oranges. That's those two different things.
Well, see, basically, if you do the slab and the brick print, that's pretty bad because they're gonna have to pour concrete. But now we do need to decide whether we want to, we're gonna have to put in there that we do want the dye mixed in with the concrete. Because there's two different ways. You can stamp it and then stain it, or you can get the dye mixed. Now that may affect the color of it. You know, that's gonna be another thing there, picking a color. As far as the red, you're not gonna be able to completely match what's already there, but we should get close. And then, just as far as the other, if you want to do it a two-part bid and get a quote on the brick pavers too.
That's I think we're still too generalizing. I think we hadn't got specific enough.
Well, why don't we do this? Michael, give you an opportunity to develop some specs for it. We bring it back at next council meeting, and then we can we'll take it up at that point.
Okay.
And then that'll give everybody, once you give them some mirrors and send them out, everybody get a chance to look over them and review them.
Okay.
And we'll be ready for next council meeting.
That'll work.
Okay.
Now, do we need a motion to enter into contract with Southern Farm?
Yeah, that was the thing I went back to look at. Do we have a motion to enter into a contract with Southern? Before I ask for a motion, some clarification. Was it 6 months or through the remainder of the fiscal year?
I think we might as well go through the remainder of the fiscal year. There's not that much more. Money's there. Just let them have opportunity to do the best job they can.
We would have to get one written up.
You might need Chipper to write the contract.
Okay. So we can get a motion to pursue a contract with Southern Farm for the purpose of maintaining the landscaping for the city. Okay. And then,
Competitive bid.
well,
The competitive bid law? All right, the competitive bid law is 15,000 for services.
Okay.
So
What are you
that
looking
might
at?
hit, since it's over $15,000, we might have to put a contract out for services to allow other people to put in a bid for contract for services.
We can either go 6 months, which would be under that, or we can either do what you said.
Well, we could, 6 months would be, let's see,
let's put it.
we could probably go, 7 months to get us on a little further.
Thing is that, the only thing is we're delaying this and needs to kind of get going.
Yeah.
But as far as doing a bid, I'm sure if somebody else out there interested in doing it. I mean, there may be somebody else out there, but I think we're good with it. I'll go with, let's go with 6 months and then we'll cover it.
Yeah. Okay. All right. So do I have a motion to do a contract with Southern Farms for a period of 6 months to do the city landscaping work?
I so move.
Okay. Do I have a second?
Second.
I second it.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay.
You need
All right.
to get with Chipper, right?
That's your go.
Huh?
Yeah, you and the mayor and Chipper could meet on what needs to be.
I mean, you need to
That's your
include there what
department.
they're gonna be doing.
Yeah,
Well, it's all in that quote that he gave.
Okay, that's fine.
make sure that everything's covered as far as what Robert did and what he can do.
Yeah.
It's your department.
Okay. Councilman Thomas, you got anything?
No, sir, I don't.
Okay, I think I covered everybody. Councilman McDaniel, I got you.
You did.
Okay. And the only one that was missing is Councilman Ruffin. I guess he had to leave. Okay, I have,
Those are refunds.
The community house refunds, does that mean you approve based off that other
yeah, I
motion?
would think so.
Okay.
Okay. Do I have a motion to approve the refunds for the community house, for the Union High School class reunion, and also for the baby shower?
I so move.
Okay, do I have a second?
Second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
All right. Don't have anything else?
Then we have no more business to do. I make a motion to adjourn this meeting.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Damn good job.
Not too bad.
No, for much as you got done today, no, that's not bad enough. Okay. Any other words of wisdom?
Have a blessed day. Glad you made it through
I'm glad
COVID.
I made it through